Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Emily Counts. I'm the Community Advancement Coordinator here at ACCE, and I am happy to welcome you to this webinar on award ceremonies with our very special guest, Tayler Hammersmith from the Greater Kansas City Chamber, and Sarah and Anna from the Greater Akron Chambers. We will get started very shortly. So welcome again, everyone, and we are very happy to have you here today for this webinar. Before I turn the program over to our wonderful speakers, we have just a few housekeeping items for you today. So the first, all attendees are in listen-only mode. If you have questions, we will answer all of your questions at the end. Please type them into the chat box at the lower right-hand side of your screen. And this webinar will be recorded and will be uploaded to ACCE's website within the next couple of days. Also, for those of you interested in events, we have our events training conference coming up in wonderful Saratoga Springs, New York, October 17th and 18th. Until October 1st, you can still get the early bird price, especially if you mention this webinar. So please register today. Don't miss out on all of the fun and expertise that we are getting just for you. But without further ado, let me introduce our presenters. Wow. So first up, we have Tayler Hammersmith. She is the Small Business and Strategic Partnerships Manager for the Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce. She's been with Kansas City Chamber for 3 years, and Tayler has seen many roles, including working in events, civic and community initiatives, networking, and membership, and an exclusive project with Google. Currently, she oversees the Chamber's small business programming, which includes the Small Business Celebration, local cost-saving benefits, and small business engagement. Next, from the Greater Akron Chamber, we have Anna Richards. She is the Manager of Events and Programs at the Greater Akron Chamber. Anna is responsible for producing quality member programs and events from conception to completion that benefit and are of value to Chamber members and the community. In addition, she has specific ownership of knowledgeable network of women and the Young Professionals Network. She has been in this role since February and has been an active member of the Greater Akron Chamber and for the past 5 years. And last but certainly not least, we have Sarah Vojtek. She is the Director of Member Services at the Greater Akron Chamber. In this role, she oversees staff responsible for membership, sales, customer service, database management, as well as events and programs. Prior to this role, Sarah was the Manager of Events and Programs for 7 years, where she worked to create and revise the Chamber's program and event portfolio. So we got some all-stars for you here today, and without further ado, I pass this off to Tayler.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who's attending today to this webinar. Emily and Susan were telling me a little bit about some of the numbers you guys have, which is a little bit intimidating, but we're going to go with it. So as Emily mentioned, I'm Tayler Hammersmith. I'm with the Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce. I've been at the Chamber for about 3 years and currently working in small business, which is what I'm going to talk to you guys about today. First, I wanted to start a little bit with some information about the Greater Kansas City Chamber. We are located in Kansas City, Missouri, and we're a regional chamber covering both states, Kansas and Missouri. And that's in about a 15-county area, which covers about 2.34 million people. Our membership, we have about 2,000 members. 70% of those members are small businesses, and we offer a variety of programming to all of our members. But again, today we'll focus on small business. We define small business as companies that are 250 full-time employees or fewer, which I know sounds huge. But I thought I'd take a look at some of those numbers and break them down a little bit. So in that graph, you can see about 83% of the 70%, so a fair majority, have fewer than 50 full-time employees. So we truly are serving small businesses in our area. And personally, it's been my desire during my time in this position to make sure our small businesses know how critically important they are to our community and know that they have the full support of the chamber. As a regional chamber, some of you may relate, there is a myth that we only care about big business, which is the furthest thing from the truth. So it's my goal to educate more people that there's a lot of things that the chamber does for the small business community. Probably the most important thing we do for our small business members is our small business celebration. And this will be our 33rd year. We started in 1987 on the Small Business Celebration. And the main award that we give is called our Mr. K Small Business of the Year Award. And as you can see by that quote, to be named Small Business of the Year signifies that a company that has shown growth or sustainability of their business with strong employee relations and a record of giving back to the community. This award is named after Mr. Ewing Marion Kaufman, who was a very successful entrepreneur here in Kansas City and believed in cultivating our region's entrepreneurial spirit by supporting ideas and innovation. He's still very much alive in everything we do today. So before I wanted to get started on the process, I thought I'd go through some of the other awards. And a special fun fact about the Mr. K Award, if any of you are familiar with Einstein Bagels, they won the Mr. K Award in 1993. So we do have some businesses that go on to do some pretty great things at a national level as well. One of the other awards that we give out is the Emerging Business Award, and that showcases kind of your up-and-coming company under 3 years established that has a unique idea, breakthrough technology or service, and that ultimately is going to be kind of a company to watch. And it's our hope that the winners of this award will go on to compete for the Mr. K Award later in their establishment. So next would be the Diverse Business Award, and that's something we're really putting a large focus on this year. And through that, we're encouraging diverse business practices and recognizing that they're vitally important to our community. And we use this award to identify specifically a small business that's doing exceptionally well in the diversity, equity, and inclusion space, which sometimes can be a struggle given staff size, but there are some companies that are doing some pretty amazing things that we feel should be recognized for. The International Award recognizes a local small business that's leaving, obviously, their impact on an international scale. And then the Legacy of Kansas City Award, opposite of the Emerging Business Award, recognizes our small businesses that have been committed to the Kansas City community for 15 years or more and that are continuing to do some pretty amazing things for our local economy. And now I wanted to switch over to the process that by now you've had a couple minutes to kind of look through, but the nominations are our first start. So we actually just yesterday sent an HTML to all members recognizing or calling on them to recognize customers, partners, businesses that they frequent that they think deserve recognition and the opportunity to win this award. Last year we had about 1,300. That's pretty on par. I think the year before we had about 1,500. That's obviously we're striving for more year after year, but we're pretty proud of those numbers. And of those 1,300 last year, 900 were unique businesses, meaning that they hadn't been nominated 2 or 3 times. So to have 900 businesses is also something that we've been pretty proud of. From there, the nominees are notified, so they get an email saying that they've been nominated and who their nominator was. And from there, they have the choice on whether or not they would like to apply. So from about those 900 companies, we had 90 applications in 2019. That's also pretty on par. We usually strive for around 100. So we're proud of that last year. Once they apply and they're a current member of the chamber, they participate in our first event, which is called the Candidate Showcase. And that's the photo that's in the bottom right-hand corner. It's held in our main hall of our Union Station. We see roughly, I think last year, roughly about 1,000 people were able, it's a free flow event. So roughly 1,000 people across the registration desk line. But that's an opportunity for our candidates to be able to have a booth in an expo-style fair and really showcase their business and what they do to the business community and to all of the others that attend the event. And that gives our small businesses a great opportunity to get out in front of new people, to make connections with other small businesses. And honestly, it's one of their favorite parts of this entire process is that event. Our judges also attend that event, and they're undercover, which is pretty fun. Most of the judges are unknown, unless, of course, they've been in the top 10 before. So after that, the judges make a decision about the top 10. We move into the top 10 announcement, which I'll talk about in the following slides. But after that, the top 10 go through a series of site visits where they have more intimate time with the judges, and they also go through video shoots to prepare a 2-minute video to be shown at the awards luncheon. And ultimately, they get to keep that video for any of the marketing purposes that they need. They can put it on their website. They can share it through social media. We pay for it and create the video. They get to keep it. The final event, which is in the bottom left corner, is our CEO panel reception. So that's an opportunity for the top 10 CEOs to get up on stage and answer some final questions in front of the judges and in front of an audience. This is one of the events that we're looking forward to kind of tweaking a little bit this year, but it's a great event and the judges get a lot out of it. So after that, the judges make their final decisions and we celebrate at the awards luncheon. And that holds about 600, just to give you a size of audience. And that's the top 2 photos up there. Our winners this year, Trek Design Group, which is a local civil engineering firm, and then the actual Mr. K award itself. But today I thought we'd focus on our top 10 announcement. Emily had reached out through some of the things that we have been doing on social media. So to talk about the top 10 announcement, formerly we used to have this event as a reception style event, and there'd be around 200 people. We would announce each top 10 candidate on stage, but the problem we were having is that, of course, after the top 10 were announced, everyone that didn't make it would leave, and that's only halfway through our event. So we would cut our event attendees in half. So we decided to change things up a bit and bring a new idea into the mix. We relied very heavily on social media and put on a publisher's clearinghouse style event. And as you can see on the right, which I'll talk through a little bit later, our Twitter analytics. So December through May, which is roughly the time period that this entire celebration takes place, you can see our impact through, people looking at tweets, people liking tweets, people getting out to their followers, retweeting, and then obviously our following growth. So there we wanted to rely very heavily on social media, and feel free to go ahead and take a look through our Twitter as I'm talking, or our Instagram. We also have a main KC Chamber handle on all of those, so feel free to take a look through that as I'm talking. But this is very important. We announced all the top 10 as we went. We were very interactive with all the candidates on social media that day. So that means we were sharing videos, pictures, exchanged messages, boomerangs, just about everything we could think of to interact with all of our members that were following along with us. And this was very much a live event. So a lot of people were having fun interacting with us, whereas before it was kind of hard to interact and you would just stand there one by one as they were announced. Prior to this day, a little bit more on the logistics side, we asked all candidates to make an effort to have their CEO in the office so that they could be a part of the celebration. But also it was important to note that this was different from our former event in that because we were able to surprise each of the candidates at their offices, we were able to bring in their entire staff, which truthfully is what this should be about, because it's the hard work of the entire company that goes into winning an award like this. As you can see there, we gave away gift baskets. We came in with our chamber staff and crew and blasted some really great pump-up jams and gave away a gift basket with champagne bottles that we had actually created our own labels for. So they got 2 bottles of champagne, 2 etched champagne glasses, balloons, confetti explosions, a banner, bundt cakes, and lots of photo ops. So through this, we also were able to engage in a sponsorship with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. They are a great partner of ours in the other work that we do at the chamber, but they also donated a large SUV to cart around our staff and some of the other people that we took along with us for the day. Along with our staff, which you can see there, we were able to enlist some of our top 10 and former winners. So that was a great way to engage them and have them come along, because that's something we've been really trying to work on is getting them there. So back into the Twitter analytics side of it, you can see our impact there, but I worked with our content director to get some other stats, and just on the actual day of the announcement on Facebook, we had about 1,500 reactions, about 200 comments, about 70 shares, and then on Twitter, 600 likes, 115 retweets, and 50 replies. So then these are some of the pictures, and I'll just move from left to right in a circle. As you can see, the SUV that Enterprise generously donated, we worked through a local signage company to create some car clings that had top 10 celebration. I don't believe we called it a mobile of any kind, but tried to use some creative marketing there, and then also had some car flags. We really wanted to make sure people knew that we were coming, and that it was colorful and exciting. So you can see from left to right, our Senior Vice President of Strategic Partnerships, our CEO, a former top 10 candidate, and then a winner to my right, and then me. And then to the right of that, you have a picture of one of our top 10 of this year, Casey Beer Company, which if any of you are anywhere near Kansas City, I would strongly recommend trying them out. They're a local craft brewery company, but they're holding up a sign, and their CEO's there. They have a beer. It was a very kind of playful environment, and was great just to peel back the layers and really get to know some of our candidates. And confetti bundt cake, and there's a picture in the lower left of our banner. This is very important to me this year. I, of course, had an idea in my head of how I wanted it to go, and thankfully, through the help of our marketing team, it went that way. But conceptually, we wanted to think of like a high school gym banner, something that they could really hang up that would be large and something that they could be proud of, because getting into this top 10 is quite the feat for a lot of businesses in our area. And finally, I just wanted to kind of talk through, recap some of the things that we learned from this transition and working with social media and kind of really revamping this event. It's been a very positive change for our celebration. I think we've brought a lot of new life to it. We've engaged people that we've never been able to engage before. It's helped drive more attention. We were able to reach more people than we've ever been able to reach before with the former event. If you think about it, we were taking a crowd of 200, and we turned that into roughly 1,000 through our efforts on social media. So ultimately, again, going back to giving the small businesses what they need, we're getting them out in front of as many people as we can. Obviously, we received positive and negative feedback. I would even venture to say that it wasn't negative, and I can count on one hand how many emails I got, which is great. And I think we all know we don't enjoy the negative emails, but I got 3 that were just some good feedback from people about different ways to communicate. But overwhelmingly very positive, and people have been talking about this for months after the event. So along with the day of it, it had a very long-lasting impression, which is, I think, what we ultimately all want from all of our events. We want people to talk about them. We want people to share what happened. It opened additional sponsorship opportunities, especially with Enterprise. I think that's one of the ones right off the bat. But we have also talked about selling sponsorships against this event. And then I think personally for me, the most important thing about what we've learned is that we can be more confident about making changes to our events and knowing that our members will move with us more often than they will move against us. So it's opened to sorry, I stuttered a little bit there. It's opened the door to changing some events that we're doing this year, and also changing some of the applications, some of the criteria for some of our other awards. So it's given us a little bit more authority to move around and change some things. And it's helped drive a new audience to the small business celebration in the chamber. We all can, assuming most of us have social media, I've I was able to see some things from other small businesses that on my personal account. So if you think about that reach, it's pretty amazing where we were able to get, and that's what we're wanting. We're wanting more people to know about the Small Business Celebration. We're wanting to build it more outside of our membership base, and ultimately it helps us to drive more attention to the chamber, which is definitely what we all want. And then right to the right, that's a picture of Kimberly Robinette, who is the owner of the Truck Design Group, who won this year's award. She's been absolutely fantastic to work with, and it truly capped off another great year for our small business community. And with that, I yield my time to the next awesome presentation. Thank you all.
Thank you, Taylor. And without further ado, if I can hit the right direction, I'm going to pass it over to Sarah and Anna. Sarah and Anna, you ready?
We are, yes. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to be with us this afternoon. So this is Sarah. As mentioned, I'm the Director of Member Services. I've been with the Chamber about 8 years. One year as the Director of Member Services, and then prior to that, I served, as mentioned, as our Manager of Programs and Events. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background about us as a chamber, and then specifically about what we call our Excellence in Business Awards and what it looks like historically, and then how we decided to kind of change it. And then Anna came to us in about February, kind of in the midst of all the changes and transition. So she was very instrumental in helping us change this to what it was this year and what it's going to be moving forward. So with that, I'll go ahead and start. A quick little snapshot on us as a chamber. We are a metro chamber, and we represent 3 counties here in Ohio. We represent Summit, Portage, and Medina counties. We have about just over 1,500 members, and those members represent, as you see there, the $66.2 billion in revenue. The employment numbers and payroll numbers are there as well, just to give you a little idea of, what we look like as a chamber. We have about 100 events a year, and they kind of encompass everything from women's programming to young professionals programming. We have investor level series. We have a business owners council series, and then of course the general membership events. And then we have some signature events that we do here, and they are our biggest events. We have an annual meeting, an inclusion summit. We have a 30 for the Future, which is also another awards program that we do, honoring 30 young professionals each year. We have an economic outlook event, and then we have this business awards event that we do annually. So I'll go ahead and dive right into the business awards, which I know is why you're all here. So our business awards were started in 1982. In the background of this slide, you'll see kind of typically what that event has looked like. It's been a formal kind of sit down. It was breakfast event held at a country club. We had a keynote speaker. When it started in 1982, we honored just one business, and then as we developed the program over time, we got up to honoring as many as 6 businesses at one time. We say that this award recognizes businesses for outstanding performance, growth, staying power, and innovation. So those are kind of the guidelines we use when asking for nominations. In 2013, we added an emerging business category, which only highlighted one business a year, but they had to have been open for 5 years or less and had profits in at least the last 2 years. So we added that in 2013. That was kind of a major shift in the program. I wouldn't say major, I guess, an addition to the program from what it had been in the past. So here, the next slide, you'll see kind of side by side on what it was to what we tried this year. So like I said, I'll go ahead and talk about what it was in a little more detail and then hand it off. Our old process was trying to solicit, so this event has always been in May. So starting in January, we would have a call for nominations based on some of that criteria I listed previously. And it was a little bit of a struggle. We also had an opportunity to, about 2 years ago, we started the nomination process online, which Anna will talk a little bit more about, which helped us get nominations. But our struggle, much like Taylor's, I think maybe, was that we would get all these nominations and contact the companies and ask them to submit their applications, which our application admittedly was very tedious and long to complete. We asked for a lot of information that the companies didn't necessarily want to give all the time. We asked for a lot of narrative. And so it was a tedious process, so we would not get a ton of applications back from the companies that were nominated. So that was one of the issues we had as we progressed through. As I mentioned, it was a breakfast event held at the country club. We'd get about 200 attendees. Before we changed it, one of the things we found is we have a very exclusive country club here in the area, and so we moved it there about 3 years ago. And we heard that people came not only because they wanted to be at the event, but because they actually wanted access to the country club. So that was a little change and something that we didn't foresee as growing our attendance a little bit, but that's kind of where we kept at about 200. Prior to that, we had hovered around the 130 to 150 mark. So we were still honoring about 2 to 7 companies. We were that emerging business category, as I mentioned. And then we had a selection committee made up of sponsors and previous recipients that we got together every year, and they would judge the applications based on a scoring rubric that we'd put together. It was very quantitative. There wasn't a ton of room for larger companies that had been in business for a long time and had growth over year. The way that the rubric was set up that we came to realize was that it favored companies who were maybe just starting out and had tremendous growth from year 1 to 2 and 2 to 3, just based on the way the mathematics were set up in our scoring system. So unfortunately, we ended up leaving out a lot of the companies who were well established in our region, and so that was kind of an issue that we decided that we would discuss as we went through all these changes. So we always had a keynote speaker that was someone, as we went through the years, who maybe was a past recipient who had grown their business, or a success story of the region, or a company that was thriving. So we did incorporate that so that it wasn't just the recipients. We don't allow our recipients to speak. They get a quick video. We send a videographer out to their company, interview them, kind of take a tour so that the guests at the event can get a quick idea or snapshot of what that company is, what they do, and what their personality is. So about a year ago, actually about 18 months ago, we got a new president and CEO here at the Greater Akron Chamber. And so he had attended this event as it was. That was his first event he actually attended in May. And then he came on board right after that. So he had some ideas about it. We met in December with our committee chair, who was also a past recipient and an active board member with us. And we brainstormed some ideas on what this event could look like moving forward, with the realization that we were on a very tight timeline, and that if we were going to use the same timeline we were used to, we would be having to have nomination forms almost ready to be launching at this point. And so keep in mind that I'm going to turn over to Anna here in just a minute, but as she talks through this, we learned a lot along the way. We were changing paths as we went. So we kind of have a lot of ideas about what this could be. We had a successful event, but we like to say here, building the plane as we fly it, especially when it comes to this event and the changes that we were implementing. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Anna, who's going to just explain what the event looked like this past June and how we got there.
Good afternoon, everyone. So it was fun. We'll stay on that slide for another minute. Sorry, we can go back one. So the Business Awards, we renamed it the Business Awards. We realized that that wasn't the most creative of names, but in a time crunch, we needed to come up with something and start publicizing, getting it out. And so that really encompassed what kind of a basic idea of what it was and what we were going to. So as Sarah talked about, we kind of flipped it, head over feet for everything. So we went to an evening event. We held it at Bounce Innovation Hub. The nice thing about Bounce Innovation Hub is a place for entrepreneurs to be able to come and grow their businesses. There's some co-working space, office space, but they had their grand opening just a week or two before our event. So once again, we were trying to capitalize on a new, unique, creative space in the region where people may not have been to help drive attendance. So we held it there. We had about 180 attendees. We moved from the 2 different award categories to 8 award categories. And we also filtered our nominations through gacawards.com. So really trying to push people to one website, a little bit more user-friendly, just a good place to kind of go for history and an easy way, since we're, the Greater Akron Chamber, the GAC, an easy to access website. Then our selection committee, so we maintained the selection committee as we had in the past, but we really worked to be more inclusive of partner organizations and community organizations. So we had some business owners from large businesses, small businesses, past recipients, but then we brought in people from the Akron Urban League, from the Convention and Visitors Bureau, from an arts collaboration, from the city, a whole wide variety of people representing all different aspects of the population within the Greater Akron area. So, we'll go ahead on to the next slide now. So here you can see over on the left-hand side, the first part of our website, really trying to be friendly, make it easy to use. All you have to do is go there, click on the button, and it will take you right to the form. Talk a little bit about the event. You can go to the registration page from there as well. So the 8 award categories that we came up with, we were really trying to focus on different awards that some would highlight different businesses and organizations, different entrepreneurs that were not always represented in award processes. So we really tried to have that entrepreneur recognition, have arts recognition. So we had the Entrepreneur of the Year. We had the Best Business to Work For, the Best Origin Story, the Minority Business to Watch, Women-Owned Business to Watch. One of my favorites, Making Shit Happen. So also having more of a legacy, established company have an opportunity along with the newer, more entrepreneur startup companies as well. We'll go on to the next. So as Sarah mentioned, we were kind of a short timeline. I came in kind of in the middle of February, and it was fun. Dive in deep and learn how to swim and keep your head above the water, and good things happen. So we learned a lot with the venue. So showcasing something new in town, we found really does help drive attendance. So from being at Firestone Country Club and having it be a place to where people wanted to go just for the venue, Bounce Innovation Hub, we really tried to find venues that are unique venues. We have a local theater here that is putting on a new space in downtown Akron. And so we're looking to have our awards ceremony next year at that venue. They'll have opened in the spring, so quite a few people probably won't have been there yet. So what a better chance to come and then our award ceremony. We have the timing as well, so moving it from the breakfast to an evening event. One of the situations that we discovered, you learn as you go, right? So not having table registrations, we found greatly impacted our registration. So it gave us an opportunity to come up with a creative way to allow companies to purchase a package of tickets, have some kind of sponsorship, an easy sponsorship level that would help increase registration that would be similar to buying a table, but we didn't really have tables per se in the traditional sense. So timing definitely affected that. We also, for next year, we've moved it up in May to better correspond with National Small Business Week. So there's a lot of different moving parts around National Small Business Week, and since we are focused on highlighting both small and large businesses, we wanted to try to revolve it around that as much as possible. So for the awards themselves, being inclusive, we have one of our strategies of the Chamber is to try to be more inclusive in everything we do in an intentional way. So focusing both on those highly established companies, the large businesses, but then also having that focus on the smaller solopreneurs. So next year, we are evaluating those 8 categories. We've realized that the best business to work for is a category that other award ceremonies hit. So we've decided that we are going to drop that for this upcoming year and probably add something in to speak to diversity and inclusion. And if there's any other nonprofit sector or other areas of the community where businesses and organizations are not getting the recognition that they should be. The other thing as far as awards that we learned, so we had 2 of our awards named MBE to watch and WBE to watch. As with all acronyms, some people know them, some people don't. So we are going to be tweaking the names of those just to make it more understandable for everyone as far as what those awards are for. So the other piece of the awards is the physical awards. We went from a typical awards creator to using a local artist to create the awards. So you can see in the background of the slide our awards. We had 8 different unique individual awards that a local artist created just for us with a special tile that she painted and put some fused glass on there. They turned out really beautiful. And then we had the little plaque that had the name of the business along with the award that they won. So now that we've had a little bit more time as well, the naming, so we realized Business Awards was a good name, but we could probably do something a little bit better. So we've had a focus group meeting, and we've come up with the Greater Awards, following in the steps of the Greater Akron Chamber. The Greater Awards are really, everything can be greater, so really pulling your business to be greater, kind of rising the tide type of thought for that. So moving forward, they're going to be called the Greater Awards. And then also to touch on feedback that we received. So anytime you make some major changes, you are going to get feedback, and we did solicit for feedback, both positive and constructive feedback, which we received some of both, which really has helped us to shape and determine our event for this upcoming year and then moving on into the future. We really wanted to see what our attendees thought and what our members thought of them, and some ideas that they have. Not that we can encompass all of their ideas all of the time, but we wanted to make sure that we heard their feedback, both positive and constructive.
Yeah, I think Anna did a great job of kind of summarizing where we try to take this thing pretty quickly. So I think that's it for us for now. We'll turn it back over to you guys.
Thank you guys so much. Now we're going to shift over to questions, and you guys have been sending them in. Let me pull them All right. So this one is for Tayler. Who is on your voting committee?
Voting committee. Okay, so we have a good mixture, and actually I'll try to pull out who we're going to have for this year, but it's a mix of sponsors, former winners, top 10, and then also community partners. So for example, we've got about 3 of our, 2 sponsors, it's promised in their packages, but then some other community partners that know the small business world. We have someone from a small business development council. We have another more entrepreneurial foundation, and then we have former winners. I'd say a majority of what it's going to be this year are former top 10 or former winners. So CEOs from those companies, leaders from those companies that truly know the grind of what a small business is, what it takes, so that when they're looking over these applications and asking these questions of these potential winners, that they know what they're looking for, and that they've been through some of the things that these businesses have faced. So we try to keep it pretty even, if not more so, on the side of being majority small business leader focused in that group.
Thank you very much. Anna and Sarah, how do you encourage members to apply for the awards? Do you make personal phone calls and emails to members and suggest that they apply?
No, so one of the things we're trying to implement with this website now is that it's going to be almost up annually. The goal is to have it up all year long, so that if we become aware of members, if our sales team meets with someone who they think would be a good fit, and for us to promote it at all of our events throughout the year, to be able to go there and to just submit a nomination while it's on your mind. We're going to try that. We think that'll help a lot, because what happens is people will tell us they know of a company, but the nominations aren't open for another 6 months, and then they forget or we forget, or vice versa. We do a little bit of promotion on social media, especially obviously as the deadline is coming closer and closer. And then we include it, as soon as we're ready, we include it and place it in our weekly email blast that goes out to all of our members.
Perfect, thank you. This was directed towards Tayler, but is viable for everyone. Do you engage your winners after the ceremony in chamber work? If so, how?
Absolutely. So our Mr. K Small Business of the Year winner, immediately after she was featured at our Power of Diversity breakfast as a panelist, she gets a board seat on our upcoming fiscal year. She will sit on the board of directors for the chamber. And then here and there, we have a group called the Executive Women's Leadership Council. She will be featured on a panel there. So we pick and choose. I'm kind of jokingly with her before in a meeting, I said, I will guard your time as best I can, but I will also try to limit it to opportunities that I feel are really great for you. Outside of the Mr. K award winner, talking about kind of refocusing on some of our other awards, we're looking at having our entrepreneur of business featured in more of our entrepreneurial programming events, and then also likewise with our diversity award winner, having them featured at our bigger Power of Diversity breakfast, and giving them a speaking role of some sorts, or to show their video, or to have a video made of them and show it at that breakfast in some form. So we do try to engage with them. Other award winners have been featured as judges on their panel. So like I said, with the judging panel, we've invited some top 10 and some winners to serve on that. And then for each of the other ancillary awards, we have a judging panel for each of those. So for example, this year we'll have last year's Entrepreneur Award winner, Emerging Business Award winner, as a judge on that panel. So we try to engage them in as many ways as possible. Overall at the Chamber, our focus is, within the membership department at least, is in engagement. So we're trying to find the best opportunities for them and get them plugged in to the different programs that we have.
Thank you.
So,
yes, go right ahead.
So for us at the Greater Akron Chamber, we admittedly had not done a phenomenal job of keeping them engaged afterwards. One of the things I don't think we mentioned is that the companies did not and do not have to be chamber members to win. So the goal was to always seek out maybe businesses that we're not aware of, or that maybe have never considered chamber membership, and kind of show them the benefit of being a chamber member, obviously get them in the room, celebrate them. So we had honored members, and there's also been non-members that have been honored. So obviously the non-members we would work with to try and get them engaged and onboarded as members here. But one of the things we had an idea for moving forward is that we have a large annual meeting here. It happens every year in March, and it's a big celebration of what happened the prior year, obviously, and what there is to look forward to. So one of the things that we thought would be a cool aspect this year, moving into 2020, would be to bring all of these recipients back and have them highlighted, have them have special ribbons, talk about them, and have them kind of as our guests in the room for people who may not have attended or may not have been aware of the event, so that they're kind of feel special a little bit throughout the year.
Perfect. That segues perfectly into our next question. Are these events in addition to your annual meeting? This individual has decided to get rid of their award event and announce these during their annual meeting for this coming year.
So at the Greater Akron Chamber, yes, our business awards and all of our awards and the signature programs I kind of listed at the beginning, they're all separate events from our annual meeting. Our annual meeting is more, like I said, a celebration and reflection of the past year. We do our board nominations, so it has its own kind of agenda and things that need to happen there. So, and we try and make it a fun networking event. So we do not include our annual meeting; it's separate.
And ours is separate as well. Our annual dinner has, they do give away an award to, we call it the Kansas Citian of the Year, and they do that towards the end of the dinner. But it is separate. It like I said, it takes about 5 months of a process, so I don't think we would look to moving it. And like Akron Chamber, we're trying to keep that annual dinner as more of a networking celebration of the past year and introducing our new board chair and all of that. So it is not a part of our annual meeting or dinner.
All right. For both presenters, or all the presenters, I should say, how do you determine who are the winners of the awards? Do you have a scorecard or rubric that you use?
So here in the Greater Akron Chamber, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
We do have a scoring rubric that we use to score all of our applicants. From there, though, we start then with the scoring and how everybody shakes out, and then we really have some good discussion around the nominations. So we, by including all the different partners, city partner organizations, community partner organizations, we ended up having, I think, somebody on the committee that knew just about everybody who was nominated, who could speak to that, speak to different people and different stories and different things. So it really, we start with the numbers, but then we go more of the qualitative to make sure that the numbers are where they should be.
And ours, I would say, focuses around Mr. Kaufman's 3 pillars of business, and that's community involvement, employee relations, and growth and sustainability. So elements of all 3 of those pillars are featured in the application, and that's ultimately what our judges are looking for. So they look for the growth and sustainability, and then to make it into the top 10, the judges are primarily going off of the applications themselves. So they have a rubric. Some of them decide to use their own rubric. We provide them with one, but others, they all have their own individual way of looking through those applications. But they look through them all. Some of them go to the candidate showcase so they can have an in-person, like I said, they're there pretty much undercover, so they can have an in-person conversation and kind of give the people in their own individual top 10 the chance to jump off of a page. Then they meet in a meeting to define the top 10, and from there we conduct the site visits. So we have 2 full days of site visits where we do 5 companies a day. Each company gets an hour and a half to welcome us into their offices, take us on a tour, give us a deep dive into why they should win the award, things that they do, again, centered around those 3 pillars. And then the final judged event, like I said, is that event that is the CEO panel. So the judges will give us some questions. We'll work with our moderators to come up with some questions based off of the strengths of the companies. And then the judges take that information kind of in total with all of the things that they've learned about the company, and they have a meeting where we sit down and we go through and vote. And that can be anywhere from an hour to 3 hours to 4 hours. But we do try to get a unified voice before we leave the room on the winner, but it can be complicated sometimes.
That sounds like a very intense process.
It is.
For all presenters, do you have DEI awards? And if you do, what criteria do you use and how do you judge them?
So this is one that we're taking, admittedly, we haven't paid near enough attention to in the past. To be honest with you, I've taken a look at our application and it was severely lacking some depth. So what we're doing this year is I'm partnering with one of our judges who was formerly on what we call the main judging panel, and she's got a real strength for DE&I. So we asked her to partner on kind of tweaking this small business, the Diverse Small Business of the Year application. So it follows a lot of the same guidelines or qualifications of our main award. But we're saying this year, for example, it will be given to a Greater Kansas City small business that is committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Candidates will demonstrate commitment to these practices by attaining a diverse workforce, planning or practicing DE&I in all levels in business, and so on and so forth. So within their application, we say that diverse ownership or certifications are considered but not required. And the judges will take that into consideration. We collect some business information from them, including their workforce statistics. And then we also ask them some more qualitative questions. So some of the changes that we've made this year include, are you maintaining membership in other diverse chambers? If you have a board of directors, what are your statistics on diversity? Do you have a formal DE&I policy in place? Is diversity and inclusion recognized in your marketing or in your mission, vision, or values? So just some things that I would say are a little bit more inclusive of what all businesses could be doing, and then also really trying to make them think about what they're doing in the DE&I space, whether they're doing really well, or maybe give them hopefully some ideas on things that they should be thinking about.
So as we touched a little bit on, we have our initiative, one of our new initiatives is really focused on diversity and inclusion, and in that work. Prior, it had not been included in any of the application process or nominations, but it is something as we think about as we move forward and tying all of our initiatives and programming together that we are going to include. We just aren't sure how yet.
Thank you. And the next question and last question that we have is, will you be willing to share your rubrics?
I would be very willing to share ours, but I would keep in mind that, like I said, our rubric is focused around those 3 pillars. You'd almost have to see the application, so I'm happy to share the application as well. But yeah, that rubric is going to be based around those 3 pillars.
So we can also share our rubric. Again, ours was a little bit of a change from what we had done historically, so it's still kind of a work in progress, but we can definitely share that. It's more of a kind of, I guess, simple rubric that we developed when we kind of simplified everything. So, but yeah, we can share that.
Perfect. And we've also received a request to get samples of your nomination forms and applications as well. So
absolutely.
I will work with the speakers, and when we upload the slides to the ACC website, we will make sure to include both those as well. So Thank you all for your wonderful questions today. Here is the contact information for our speakers and staff that are here today. If you have any questions whatsoever, we are all very happy to take your emails and answer them as best we can. For those folks that are wanting to register for the events conference for the early bird rate, you should please email Yodi Gabriz at YGEBREYES@acce.org by October 1st. Well, thank you everyone for participating in this webinar today. Thank you to our wonderful speakers for educating us on how to better do award ceremonies. And with that, I will let you all go and get back to your very busy lives. So thank you.